gold in 96. So who says?
Maybe
history could repeat itself. Yeah. All right, but that's still a long way off, and we still have some qualifying to do in Senegal later this year. But Yemi, I must thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll allow Yemi to go now. We'll go on a quick break, about 60 seconds or more, and then Oye Wuchimachuku and Tunde Koike will join me. We'll be taking a look at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the Golden Eaglets, defending champions, world champions. We will be knowing their opponents tomorrow, when the World Cup draw for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup takes place in Chile. We'll talk about it, we'll talk about the Falcons, and a whole lot more on Sports Tonight. Join us again. All right, thank you for staying with us. It's time for us to move on very quickly. I'm going to introduce my next set of guests right now, but let me just take this one. It's an interesting tweet, very significant tweet as well. Big congratulations to Ahmed Musa, and the story is that his wife got delivered of a baby boy earlier today, and he has tapped it up with a brace for his club. But that's some good news for Ahmed Musa. He's scoring goals on and off the pitch. All right, so let me welcome Tunde Koike to Sports Tonight this midweek. As well, grinning from one end to the other. I mean, you should celebrate with Ahmed Musa, scoring goals everywhere.
So he's really finding targets.
Yeah,
you know,
prolific.
Yeah,
actually.
both on and off the field.
But it's one guy who has given his 100% to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Can you really fault him when it comes to performing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
No. Well, you can't fault the commitment to him. You know, maybe the final part of his game. You know, the very pacey striker. He can outpace any defender in the world. But sometimes
the final
ball is always the issue. So I think if he can correct that particular aspect of his game, he will be a top-class player.
But the problem, I think the problem is even the Russians understand that maybe it can be corrected. Because he no longer plays as a winger for CSK Moscow.
He plays from the center.
He plays as a striker.
And anytime he plays from the center for Nigeria, that's when he scores those beautiful goals, where he puts the ball to the far end, you know.
Because they understand that he has pace, he has good control, but his final ball is lacking. So why doesn't he use the pace to beat his man,
and then face the goal
and shoot? So maybe they understand that, and that's why. I mean, look at the World Cup. I cannot remember one single cross that Ahmed Musa made that got to target. All the corner kicks he took.
But you remember his two goals against Argentina.
So which means.
And then you also remember the goal against South Africa in Bombela Stadium.
So I think they found the answer to Ahmed Musa's problem. Play him as a striker, forget him as a winger.
Anyway, Coach Sunday said we have a good problem on his hands. How well to use Ahmed Musa and make him deliver for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, that takes us to the next issue that I want to talk about, gentlemen. Let's take a look at some very key issues, and this is very, very significant. This next story, and it has to do with Super Eagles coach Sunday Olise, alongside the president of the Nigerian Football Federation and the NFF first and second vice presidents, Sheyi Akinwumi and Shehu Diko. This is very significant. Sunday Olise will be ringing the closing bell at the Nigeria Stock Exchange on the 17th of August. Yeah. Very significant. Oye, can you just give us what the implications are? What does this mean for Nigerian football?
Well, I think it's just a prelude to maybe the Nigerian Football Federation getting quoted at the stock exchange. And it's
our clubs?
Yes, our clubs. It's also very significant because this is the first time a footballing figure will perform such a symbolic role. Remember that our former president did it in the past. I mean, President Goodluck Jonathan, top dignitaries in this country are always
reserved for
for top
persons. So for football figures to do it, is that opening up our football to the corporate world, to corporate Nigeria?
Yes, that's the idea. And for me, of particular interest is the fact that Shehu Diko, who is vice president of Nigeria Football Federation and also the chairman of LMC, is going to be part of this because particularly
our clubs funding, private sector funding,
open them up, to the corporate world. I think that for me that is the way to go, because we've been talking about corporate bodies coming into partner football,
taking the weight of government,
because governments always run into problems funding. They have other priorities. The people who voted them in, they want
better roads,
hospitals,
schools,
so they can't all the time give attention to football. So I think this is the way to go.
Tunde, we want to add up a few things to this, but how do we build on it? We know the future is to get our private sector involved, interested.
Absolutely.
Maybe this is the right step.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people have always talked about the fact that the private sector has to make an appreciable
Have they
impact.
done enough in Nigeria?
You can argue yes and no. You can argue yes in the sense
Or
that
can we say Nigerian football, has Nigerian football done enough to attract them?
absolutely not.
Not.
Absolutely not. Because I mean, these people want to put their money on a product where they can get value for money. These are not.
And also maybe make profit.
They are not. They are not charity organizations. They want to be able to account for every single kobo spent, and they want to be able to see adequate returns on every investment spent. And if they cannot guarantee that from the Nigerian Football Federation or from the Nigerian Premier League clubs, that is why they have this seeming apathy to Nigerian football. But I've always constantly maintained that you cannot have a board with the likes of Sheyi Akinwumi, Pinika Maju, Shehu Diko,
Young men.
Barrister Anya Siagu, and you can tell me that these people are clueless about how to drive Nigerian football forward. They represent a new face for Nigerian football. How Nigerian they can actually walk into the boardroom and interface with these CEOs and probably tell them what the opportunities that lie in Nigerian football. So for me, it's particularly pleasing. And I also think there's also the prelude to possibly the announcement of maybe a major deal on the part of the NFF by one of the quoted companies in the stock exchange. So we'll keep our eyes very firmly on that. It'll be very interesting.
How okay is Sunday Lucia to all of this? That's Super Eagles coach. That's the face right now, the face of the national team. The Super Eagles is Nigeria's biggest football brand, so the coach probably represents the face and what the next direction should be.
Yes, Tony, you know, I've always maintained that the job of the Super Eagles coach is not just on the pitch. You know, that's why sometimes I frown at, you know, comments made by, you know, our past coaches. You need to be properly tutored. Now you are the face of Nigerian football.
And is a graduate of economics.
And everything you say is carry weight. The way you comport yourself, you know. So I think Olise perfectly
the way you speak, the way you dress,
fits into, you know, this situation. He can be packaged. He can, you know, be the brand, carry the face of Nigerian football. And I know when he gets to the stock exchange, I mean, the sky will be the limit. And this is a character that can also hold his own. He can interact. He will not have inferiority complex.
Yes.
So I think what the federation is doing is to leverage on, you know, the character,
his persona,
the reputation of a Sunday Olise, and I think it's the right honor.
Okay, we commend them for this. We commend the NFF for this, and we hope that this indeed impacts positively on Nigerian football going forward. Let's move very quickly now and talk about easily the most successful national team that we have. Maybe, arguably, apart from the Super Falcons, it's the Golden Eagles of Nigeria. They are defending champions. They are world champions of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. And later this year, they will be in Chile to try to successfully defend that crown. We'll be knowing our opponents tomorrow. We're not expecting that we'll have any problems. But the thing I want to talk about is, after going to the Under-17 Championship in Africa, where we finished